Here are your insiders, Darren Dreger, Pierre, LeBrun, and Frank Seravalli. Gentlemen, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 17-4-2, 6 points clear of anyone in the National Hockey League entering play on Tuesday night. They just shut out the Oilers twice in a row without Austin Matthews. So we ask, under 6 weeks before Trade Center Dregs, is there anything they need or want?
Well, management would like to bolster their forward group. And look, if you go back 2 weeks ago, they weren't certain positionally that that's what they would do. But they'd like to give this group a little bit more depth and firepower, particularly in the middle of the lineup, James. So you're talking about a 6, 7, 8 type of forward. There's been some speculation around Mikael Granlund of the Nashville Predators. Could there be a fit moving forward between David Poile and Kyle Dubas? Well, perhaps if the Nashville Predators are willing to retain some salary. Look, Toronto has the prospects, and if necessary, they have the draft picks to make something like that happen. And as long as the Leafs continue to win, then I know Dubas is going to try and bolster the group up front.
So Dregs, Mikael Granlund was number 6 on our TSN trade bait board that debuted on Monday. But I have a new name to add to the mix. That would be Alex Goligoski, the defenseman from the Arizona Coyotes, who's been playing top pair minutes, the pending unrestricted free agent. While the Coyotes have hung in there tough to this point, there has been no negotiations on a contract extension. He's an interesting guy because of the minutes he logs, but also because of the fact that he is a left shooting defenseman, but likes and is comfortable playing on the right side. So he could be another name added to the mix the next time we do the trade bait board, James.
You keep adding to that list, Frank, because frankly, I'm terrified right now about Trade Center. And if it fails, it's all on you. Vote of confidence doesn't always mean much in sports. We've heard a vote of confidence a lot of times, and a guy gets fired a week later. But for now, Pierre, John Tortorella safe in Columbus?
Yeah, that's what Jackets GM Jarmo Kekalainen announced to the media on Tuesday. Also had a chat about it with Tortorella himself on Monday, that he believes that Tortorella has taken this team out of the fire before, out of the woods, and he can do it again. But the reason this has become a story, of course, is that his deal is expiring at the end of the season. Now, here's where I think it's interesting. Not only did Kekalainen confirm on this day that the finances and the pandemic were part of the reason why he wasn't really in a position to extend Tortorella before the year, I personally am not convinced that Tortorella himself was in a position where he wanted to extend before the season either, that maybe he wanted to see how this year played out. So it's an interesting story developing in Columbus on the coaching front.
It's been a month since the Rangers cut ties with Tony DeAngelo, and so far no takers for a player whose career has been full of controversy. So what's next for him, Frank?
Well, James, Tony DeAngelo has expressed interest in a loan to the American Hockey League. That's what he let the Rangers know, that he'd like to get playing again. He's been skating for the last month to this point on his own. He's willing to accept a loan to any AHL franchise. And I believe the Rangers are interested in facilitating that, but it would take someone else stepping up to do so, because the Rangers have let him know that he's not welcome in Hartford. The ties have been cut with the entire Rangers organization to this point.
Once we get through Trade Center in April, we'll turn our attention to the free agent frenzy. And could Dougie Hamilton be available, Pierre?
Well, if he is, he'd be the #1 defenseman on our UFA board, like Alex Pietrangelo was last offseason. That would be Dougie Hamilton this time around. Now, he wants to stay in Carolina. His agent, J.P. Barry, did have dialogue last month to start talks on an extension with the Hurricanes. Each side essentially established their position, and frankly, it's gone quiet ever since. And I think there's a gap there between the two positions. Frankly, I think I would surmise that the player side is more on the Pietrangelo side of things, and on the Carolina side, more on the Torrey Krug side of things in terms of salary. It's not like they're going to trade this guy before the deadline. They're all in to win. They'll try and get this done before July 28th.
And right around a free agent frenzy, there is supposed to be a draft. Will there be a draft, Regs? What's the latest there?
Well, a decision has to be made on whether or not to move it in the very near future. Sources say that the National Hockey League and the Players Association, James, will virtually meet to discuss the issues, perhaps as early as Thursday.
A lot of pressure on the scouts if there is a draft this year, watching guys for only a half season, a third of a season, or less in some cases.